and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a comedy movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie VAMP. First thing, this is going to have a couple of spoilers in this review. If you haven't seen it so far, then go check the film out before you have a look at this review. Okay, so this is obviously going to be one of these sort of American Pie type films, this time including vampires. It tells a story of a vampire called Wayne Gretzky, who is a centuries-old vampire, and he accidentally, back in the old days, killed his true love, and ever since then has been able to kind of vamp out, almost like impotence really for vampires. Cut to modern times and we find out he's a professor in a university, and he sees a girl who looks the spitting image of his true love back in the old days. Turns out she's actually the daughter of his true love, who is actually still alive and a vampire. They start to see each other, and in the meantime she's kind of got this other young lad who's kind of obsessed with her and is almost like the best friend, so to speak. And slowly but surely people start to realise that there's something amiss here, and Wayne Gretzky turns this sort of young girl into a vampire, and hilarity ensues. So without going into too much more of the plot, I'll kind of go on to see what I thought about the film. So it's a bit of a strange mix really, because it doesn't really know whether it wants to be a full-on comedy or actually a more sort of dramatic vampire story, and it kind of doesn't really fit into either of those categories and kind of floats somewhere in the middle. So it's not a full-on comedy where you're kind of laughing out loud and kind of all these hilarious situations are happening. You're kind of more just like chuckling along, and because it doesn't go full-on dramatic, it just seems a bit silly when it does try to. So it's kind of in this sort of weird limbo where it doesn't really know what it wants to be. It doesn't go far enough in either direction to really warrant it being a full-on comedy or just a kind of like a horror vampire story. So unfortunately, it makes this film a little bit boring, I have to say. It's not as bad where you just you can't stand watching it. It's just you just want to turn it off. But ultimately, it's not all that funny, and it's not all that of a gripping story either. There's lots of attractive young girls here, and there's loads of them kind of get vamped out in the end, and there's this kind of like big sort of quote action quote unquote scene at the end where all these kind of like hot vampire chicks are attacking sort of house full of like sex-starved young lads, and that would sound interesting, but it just goes at a very sort of slow pace, and it's not all that exciting. There are some sort of mildly amusing moments. You've got kind of Gary Cole here as well as a sort of in a strange role as a sort of principal / psychologist, but he doesn't really have much to do with many of the cast apart from the actual main male vampire. So it's kind of a bit of a wasted role, I feel as well. It's not a terrible film, I have to say, but if you're looking at a raucous comedy or a sort of a sexy comedy, then you'd look elsewhere, to be honest with you. The main, obviously, hook with this one is that it's vampires. And yeah, there's some kind of quite sort of sexy-looking female vampires. I won't disagree with you there. But it's neither sort of a particularly good horror film, nor is it a particularly good comedy. So for this one, I'm going to give it 4 out of 10. So have you seen it? Let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.